Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to Pinkfresh Fridays, where we'll all be using pink fresh from our stash, or maybe we got something new. Mine is from my stash, and there's no sketch or anything, but I am going to scrap this photo right here. I do have one face blocked out because I generally get permission from everybody if I show it on Facebook or YouTube, but I didn't know her to get her permission. But that is my great niece, Isabella. I'm starting out with fussy cutting. Yeah, I needed some leaves in there, some kind of filler, as I'm going to make a little fox with my fox builder punch. And I thought he needed some to nestle his little self into. I went ahead and left some, well, that light bluish green around it so that there would be some green on there because they are white. I gutted this and thinking I might need it. I didn't, but I thought maybe I would. Um, the pink fresh I'm using is kind of all mixed up. Most of it I think is Day of Splendor, but the rest, no telling. I have several bits and pieces of collections in there, and but that little paper pad's a case of the blahs. And well, I'm going to put a larger piece in the background, only my larger piece wasn't quite as big as I wanted it to be. So I am going to stretch it a little bit and bring it all the way down. And see, it's not much of a gap, but I wanted it that long, so I have to cover that part up. I'm putting the hearts down first, but I'm going to add two more strips that I found as scraps, and they're going to work out really good. I'm putting the darkest one uh, behind the yellow so the yellow kind of pops out a little bit. I do have it in my photo matting, and I wanted to repeat it down there, and then I'm going to have it like in a couple of little hearts and a tiny banner afterwards. And I think that paper there in the background, I think is Let's Stay Home. I think. Let me look at the back of it. Maybe I can tell. Yeah, it is. I think it's Let's Stay Home. Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It does have a maple leaf on it. It might be the Days of Splendor, but it does have a chair and teapot and all the comfy stuff from home and cozy and comfy. So maybe it is Let's Stay Home. I can't tell one from the other without. Oh, I got that out. Can you believe it? Without seeing the branding strip down there at the bottom. I've got my Stampin' Up! Fox Builder Punch because the little table that Isabella's working off of with the jack-o'-lantern has a fox on it. And I am going to use a jack-o'-lantern in here too, but I thought, oh, it's just too hard not to resist the urge. I mean, I've got a Fox Builder Punch. Why not use it? I cut out the parts. I misplaced the reason there was like a gap there. Misplaced a couple. They were underneath the paper, the big 12 by 12 paper, and I was looking everywhere for it. So I cut that part all out. One piece looks pretty much like another though. The belly, it don't really have a piece to punch out for the belly, so I used half of the face mask for it and just cut it to fit. I had to cut a little bit off the top to get it to fit right and to tuck underneath his chin. I used the 1/8 inch punch for his eyes and his nose. And I think I'm done with him. It comes with like the tail all there and everything. And it does have a nose. Oh, it has two ears and what looks like a nose. It don't really have the eyes, but they're so easy to punch that it don't matter. And you can always use an owl builder punch or something because some of those punches have more parts than others. Whatever they can fit on there, I think is what they put. I showed those three sets of dies. One is close to my heart block letters. That's the big one. And then there's the Tim Holtz um, alphanumeric, the one that has all the extra vowels and stuff for you. So all you do is punch them out once, die cut them out once, and you've got all the words that you need. And the tiny one is one of my most favorite of all time. the Echo Park letterbox ones. And I never, well, I think maybe I once used the box part, but I usually just use the letters. I probably had the letters wore out before I ever used the box part again. It takes up more space and they're pretty legible without it. And so I like it without it pretty good. I am filling in a little more up around the fox just to make it look like he really is kind of nestling in the bushes and trying to camouflage himself with them. But I am going to end up adding, well, it's about the size of a flare, but it's a die cut. Here I'm showing that die there, and I put the black on there, and then I lifted the sides up so they wouldn't cut, and I cut a little chunk out. And I could have sworn, I zoomed in there. I could have sworn. I cut a little chunk out so that it would have a place for a tooth. And then I took my scissors and met the piece on each side that was hanging down. This is the off fall. It isn't the part that you would actually cut and use on your layout. So it's the off fall because I thought that would make a great mouth for that little tiny pumpkin that needed to be turned into a jack-o'-lantern, because my title is kind of on the long side and it's good times. This is where the magic happens, turning pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. So yeah, it's a long title. And I put several things together. I will be using a tag, and then there was a page full of words, and I cut this is where the magic happens out of it. And then the rest you can see right here. I'm filling in the back of the pumpkins and the jack-o'-lantern so that it you don't see the blue or whatever colors it's going to be behind it back there. And I'm using the same color that I used for the fox and just kind of highlighting it up. And mine are going to both go right there because I'm going to have the pumpkin and then it turned into a jack-o'-lantern. And I'm going to add some greenery. And I thought, man, it's kind of empty below there. I need to add just a little more and make my cluster just a little bit bigger. Because y'all know I like more. So I'll end up looking at that and going back to it and adding a little more there. And as you can see, Isabella has a jack-o'-lantern there, and she's having a good old time. So I thought it needs to be documented, and I'm using the Pinkfresh to do that. I don't think I use anything on here besides, of course, the foam tape and the adhesive. That is not Pinkfresh. Sometimes I might use a little bit. Oh, the cardstock. It's not Pinkfresh. I considered using pattern paper, but I thought it'd turn out a lot bolder if I used the cardstock. So I'm using the cardstock. And the piece that I had was a scrap, and I was worried I was not going to have enough. But I did. Those big letters is what made me worry. Oh, here I am. I fussy cut those little teeny tiny itsy bitsy flowers out when I was cutting the vines because I noticed that on this border it looked like a spot that was just made for little flowers. So I'm putting it all the way around the border with the little flowers. At first I thought about using a paper almost all the way up to that area, and then I noticed that and I thought, well, I think it'll show up more if I don't take my paper all the way out. And I like this darker blue paper anyway, so it ended up on my layout instead. Now, I like that little tag I pulled out really well. It's green. Y'all know green's my favorite color. So, of course, I'm going to like it. It's one of my favorite shades of green, too. And it does say good times. And I thought, well, I need to dress it up just a little bit. Oh, I left a word off my title. It's not going to go on until, oh, I think I'm done with the cluster practically. I don't know. I don't remember when I put it on there. I don't want to lie to you all. I don't remember when I put it on there. But it's a little flare that says joyful. So it's joyful good times since she is laughing out loud. If you notice my paper, it says, um, oh, what joy on it, because I did think about putting that over to the left of the photo since she is laughing pretty good. But I decided my title was long enough. I didn't need a subtitle. So I went ahead and left it off. I'll just use it on a different layout. I am, let's see, what am I doing? Where am I at on here? I get to talking and I lose track of where I'm at. Oh, I'm going to make a little cluster up there with the good times. And, oh, apparently I'm not yet. This is a little cluster down with the camera. I made a tiny banner and fishtailed it, and I'm putting a pair of those hearts. There was like just a little chunk left over of that heart strip there because it was 12 inches and I wanted it a little smaller, so I am cutting the hearts out of there. And the ones that I'm doing now, well, the ones I did up there on the tag was all one piece, but the ones I'm doing now, there was two hearts right on the edge, and I thought, oh, it's a shame that I can't use them. And I thought, why not? There's a blue one right in the middle. I could go over the top of the one that's cut off and put it there. So I did have one down there for my camera. I made a little banner thing to go up there by my tag, and here's where I put that flare on there. I think it would be a flare. It looks like a flare to me. Well, it looks like one, but it felt more like an epoxy sticker, I think. Come to think of it. And then I have my enamel dots and I will be done. And I'm picking out the orange ones and just using them on my layout, and I'm putting them in 3 clusters, and that'll be it. That'll be my layout. So make sure you check everybody else down there below and see what they did with their Pinkfresh this week, and see if they created an autumn layout, or they might even went for Christmas or something every day. I have stuff to make all of those, even the stay-at-home stuff. I have that too. And I hardly ever think to pull this out. But I did join this group to make sure I use my Pinkfresh. The Pinkfresh kind of reminds me of Felicity Jane, and those two I just seem to think of last. I think of other things first. I and they remind me of each other, just so y'all know, they kind of do. Got to mention that the little jack-o'-lanterns, the pattern paper I used, came from a 3x4 card or 4x6 card one. And I barely had enough to do 2. I considered doing a third one and putting it by the fox, but I only had enough for 2. But there's my cluster, joyful good times. This is where the magic happens, turning pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. But if you leave a comment below, I'll try to get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those of you already are, thank you so much. But have a happy, scrappy week. Take care and stay safe. Check out the rest of the hop and see what everybody else did with their Pinkfresh. Bye.